It's time to get out the red marker, Edson.
Yeah. And the ruler, too. Slap them around.
Let's start grading these puppies. I figure, why not do a mid-season report? Because I think you wanted to kind of do that with our wrap-up show anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I wanted to. Yeah. So I wanted to. Yep.
Then I was thinking about it. I'm like, this could take a while. So why don't we do NFC first? Since I feel, and I'm sure you do too, it's the inferior conference right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And then next week we can do the AFC. Since the middle of the season is not an even stop. It's not 16 weeks, it's 17 weeks.
Right.
So weeks 8 and 9, we can fudge them around a little bit.
Yep.
All right. So let's get right in. Let's start in the AFC East. Do you want to start with the bottom team first or the team that's in first place? Wait, I will give you that choice.
Did you say AFC East or NFC?
I'm sorry, NFC East.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah. For the NFC East, the top,
the bottom is the top is the bottom, and the bottom
is
all
the same. I guess we could start with the leaders and go down, but
okay. All right. So our first team then would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep. As we've often talked in our recap game, Wentz is not doing very well. He's very mistake prone. Somehow for some reason the offense isn't really gelling all that well. Lots of turnovers, lots of mistakes, and some of it I get that they are one of the most year after year recently injured team as well, but that can only go so far. They even this last game against the Cowboys, they kind of looked inept. But we're not just doing it on just one game. We're talking about the first whole half season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to give them but at the most I would give them a C.
Wow, let's break it down a little bit. This is a team that's 3-4-1.
Yep.
They are in first place somehow. So let's go into offense.
Yeah,
let's talk about their offense, and we'll.
Yeah, I jumped right in there before you introduced that.
It's okay. Now they've been completely injury prone. They've been snake bitten with injuries, and my big question too is every year it's the same narrative with Deshaun Jackson. Why is he there? He plays half a game, gets hurt, comes back 4 weeks later, plays half a game, gets hurt, gone for the year. It's the same old song and dance with this team. The tight ends has been a real problem for them. So first they lose Goddard. Now Goddard comes back, and now Ertz is gone.
Ertz is gone. Yep.
Right. So as much as I would like to kind of not trash their offense, I have to grade it on a curve. I mean, half their offense is not there.
Yeah, that's true.
Sanders is there, and then Sanders gets hurt. Boston Scott comes back after Boston Scott was hurt. It's this revolving door of injury-prone guys. So, I'll let you grade their offense first. What do you want to give their offense?
I agree with you. The injuries are a big concern for them, and whether how much that makes creates problems for why Wentz is having such a bad year. Part of it is not having the same consistent starters around him. He's got to pick a buddy of the week every right. time to throw to. So I don't know. Can't really give him that high of a guy. Okay, I'd say maybe a C+.
C+ for the Eagles offense from Edson.
But it is on a curve.
It is on a curve. It is on a curve. I'll say, they're lucky they found this Travis Fulgham kid. Or it could be a lot worse. I'm going to give them a little bit of a higher grade because the reason they're 3-4-1 is because they do have a decent offense, and Peterson's an offensive-minded coach. So I'm going to give them actually a B.
Okay.
For offense. So, all right, moving right along. How about their defense? What do you want to say about their defense?
I mean, they've been pretty good. They've been consistent throughout the year. I mean, trying to think of they keep them even when their offense kind of sputters and has, not a good day, turnovers. The defense does keep them in the games. Um, I'd give the defense a B.
A B on the defense for Edson for Philadelphia's defense. I'm right there with you. I think they're a solid defense. They're on the field a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
But they played pretty solid against Pittsburgh. They have a pretty deadly pass rush. I'm going to also give them a B on the defense. Which brings us now to their coaching.
Yeah. I don't consider a very good coaching job so far this year. But and again, do we have to fall back at always on the curve with the injuries? How much can a coach do with when they're when there's players are in and out? I'll go back to the since he is an offensive minded coach, I'll give him a C+ as well.
C+ for Doug Peterson and staff. I'm going to grade them a little higher on that. I think Peterson's a really good coach, and he'll somehow navigate this team through the landmines. He'll win the division. He'll get them into the playoffs. They might even win a game in the playoffs. They're always dangerous once they get in. I'm going to give Peterson a B+.
Okay.
Overall grade. Let's give these Philadelphia Eagles an overall grade. They're 3-4-1 at the halfway point.
Yeah. Let's see. If you put them all together, from what I was coming from, I'd say a B-.
A B- for overall for Philadelphia. Yep. I'm going to leave the B- up there because I'm with you on that. I'll give them a B-. They're probably going to win the division, so they're slightly above average.
By default, they probably will win because the division is pretty bad. But yeah,
right. Second place team, the Washington football team. They end the first half of the season at 2-5. Well, they're not even halfway. They got one more game.
Oh, right.
Because they had a bye weekend there. 2-5.
Yeah.
Washington's offense. What do you think?
I mean, they weren't expected to have a big time offense this year yet. I think they're still trying to figure out who. There was a quarterback change early on. They probably still need a couple more pieces, but they've been kind of just average of what I expected. So I'll give them a B-.
Wow, B- on the offense for the Washington football team. Yeah, they have a quarterback problem. Haskins washed out pretty quick. It's funny because they won, I think, their second game of the year, and they looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember Ron Rivera just high-fiving and hugging Haskins, and they were just so happy. And then 2 weeks later, the kid's on the bench. And then nobody thought Alex Smith could come in and play again.
No.
And he probably won't after this year. I think he just wanted to prove to himself that he could do it before he retires. Because no one wants to see him get hurt again. He almost died from that injury.
Yeah.
They're lucky they found Antonio Gibson. Otherwise, their running game is pretty much non-existent. They did ditch Adrian Peterson early in the year.
It's very. Some of this is hard.
I got to give their offense a C-.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't see much out of their offense. Defense for Washington.
Defense, I like what they're doing. They've actually been halfway competitive and competitive in about half their games. So, and I think it's mostly because of the defense. They have probably one of the better defensive lines. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I believe wasn't that their first? What was it? Was it Chase Young? Is that his name? Chase Young, the first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the. And they've been doing pretty good. I would give them also a B-.
B- on defense. I'm going to leave the B-. I completely agree with you. I think their defense is growing quickly. They're coming together fast. I like what they're doing. Of course, John Bostic took that nasty penalty.
Yeah, but he didn't get suspended though.
No, he didn't. But they're hard hitting is my point.
Yes. Oh, right. Okay.
And they're the reason that I almost said the Redskins, the Washington football team, hangs around in these kind of games. I think
Yes,
they're
exactly.
coaching.
I guess I'll stay consistent. Let's see, Ron Rivera. I don't know. He's trying to. He kind of didn't really. Which new coach doesn't hurt a good team? I guess.
Right.
If you're doing a coaching change, you're probably not hearing a Super Bowl team.
Right. It's very rare that Mike Tomlin gets Bill Cowher's team.
I'm still, considering the situation, and I know he had issues at the beginning. He was with a quarterback. I don't think he really liked. Well, I can't say liked. I don't think Haskins is his first choice of quarterback. I don't think it was just from whether it was performance. I don't think he wanted him to begin with as a starting quarterback. I think he likes Allen better. I'll give him a B.
B for coaching.
Yeah.
I will stick with the B. I'm with you on that. Rivera is a really good football coach. He's going to turn this thing around. And it's awful that right after their first game, he found out he had cancer.
Yeah.
And he's coaching through chemo treatment.
He's still going through it. Yep.
He's still going through it. So I like Ron Rivera. I always liked him. He had Carolina at the top of the league every year when he was there. So I agree with you, B. The trajectory is on the way up for this team, for sure.
For sure. Yep.
So overall grade for the Washington football team.
I think the coaching grade elevates everybody, so I'd give him a B.
B from Edson for Washington football team. I'm gonna give him B minus.
Okay.
I just, like I said, I think they're on their way. They're just not there yet. But they're for the first time in a long time, they're actually kind of fun to watch.
Fun, yeah.
They kind of are. So, up to this year, I think they were kind of dull.
Just floundering around, not really going in a direction. They couldn't find the direction to go in. Always changing.
Speaking of foundering and flopping and stumbling,
this will be fun.
It's time to grade the Cowboys. Holy moly. Where do you start? Well, we got to start with the offense.
Yep. Well, the offense for the last few games has been horrible, but we are grading on the whole half, and their offense was really good. They had to be really good because to be in any games. I mean, even though they only won 2 games. So I'm going to try to take the average of really bad, which is an F, and really good, and just give them a C for offense.
A C for offense. Now, this is tough, Edson, because you're right.
I know.
It's grading 2 different offenses.
Right.
It's grading the Dak Prescott offense, and now it's grading the post-Dak Prescott offense.
Yeah, I know.
With Dak,
probably been worse, but
Dak, they were amazing. He put 500 yards of offense, and like you said, they had to because the defense gave up the same amount. They've been abysmal since. Their offensive line is all chewed up. There's nobody there. Andy Dalton, I don't think he's even gotten a fair shot yet. He's been under siege. We just talked about the Bostic hit on him, almost knocked his head off. And now they're pulling up taxi squad guys. So, oh boy, yeah. With Prescott, it was an A. With everybody else, it's like a D
or F.
I'm gonna have to go D plus because it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
That's the problem. It's like you have that in your head. It's not going to get any better. So I was trying to give them a little bit of credit because of early on they did have it going, but
comma but. Let's grade their defense.
Oh, not that I follow the Cowboys that closely, but this has been such a huge disappointment. It's like from what I've seen in the last few years. I mean, they weren't always they were never like a top defense, but I've seen some games over the last few years where they shut down a good team often and kept them in the games. And this year has been from the first snap of the season till now. I can't even. I'll say F.
Wow. Our
Yep.
first F.
Yep. I can't give them anything better. It's like I don't see anything. Their defensive line isn't putting a lot of pressure. Their linebackers can't tackle. Their corners can't really cover anybody now. And they've given up quite a lot of big plays. Long touchdown passes. Now I'll say this past week, and we're not grading on this past week, but this past week they actually showed up, I think. But
they did.
Overall, I still give them an F.
Yeah, their defense has been an enigma. They did get Sean Lee back. I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be.
Yeah.
Van Der Esch came back a week early, the week before.
Yep.
They did show up last week. It was surprising. But I'm going to give their defense a D+.
Okay.
I can't fail them because they did show up last week. And that counts as part of the first half of the season.
It does count. You're right.
Coaching.
Okay. So McCarthy, I know, is known as an offensive-minded person, and it looked like he was working his whatever it is he has. It was working because, like you said, their offense at the beginning of the year with Prescott in there was like an A. So, but when you're a head coach, you can't just be an offensive coach. You have to worry about the whole team: offense, defense, special teams, everything, discipline. Play call, sometimes I know the offensive coordinator sometimes does the play calling as well, but you have to be responsible for that as well if it's not going well. And I don't know. It seems like all he did was just worry. He figured, oh, I'm inheriting this great offense. I'm just worried about who cares about the defense. It seems like no one put a lot of thought into it. So I'll give him a D.
A D for Mike McCarthy and his staff. Yeah. It almost seems like because they had such a reputation for the defense, it almost seems like it was an autopilot kind of thing. Set it and forget it. And work with Dak and Ezekiel Elliott and Cooper and all them. I didn't know what to make of the problem he had in Green Bay.
Right.
And I figured a lot of that was Aaron Rodgers because there's reports that he's a tool bag. But now he goes to Dallas. And 2 weeks ago, you have unnamed players saying he doesn't prepare. He doesn't know what's going on. His staff is unprepared. So when that starts happening and players start giving up on you, you are a failure.
Yep, you are.
Given the coaching an F. I just he's going to get another shot too, probably from Jerry Jones because of all the injuries. But when players are bailing on you, that's not a good sign.
And his choice for the defensive coordinator, Nolan. What does Nolan has ever done?
Nolan has been
it's like what?
Yeah.
What does he have? Is he just best friends with him or something?
Probably. Yeah. There's plenty of cronyism in situations like that. Sure. Overall, what do you give the 2-6 Dallas Cowboys, who should probably be 0-8?
Yeah, exactly. I'll give him a D. A solid D.
A solid D for Dallas. Big D for a big D.
Hey, that fits.
Yeah. They are a huge disappointment. Many people thought they would probably win the division this year. And they're going to have to fight like hell to stay out of the basement. I'm going to give them a D-.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's I had frequent thoughts come into it just to give them an F and be done with it, but
And now we get to the last place team, New York's football Giants. Giants are 1-7, but It's a deceptive 1-7, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. So their offense, they lost what I consider, or most people consider, their best player.
Yeah.
Probably, I believe it was the second game for the season, which I think, as you've noted before, they were designing the offense around him.
Yeah.
Jones has been kind of up and down. He shows flashes of really great play, and then he does, doesn't take care of the ball at all in many cases. Just as he's got a lot of fumbles, he throws up the ball up in the air just for grabs.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell whether he's going to be their quarterback for a while. But they've also been I would say, yeah, they've been in most of their games, and that counts for something. I know they lost most of them. They've been in most of their games. So I'm going to give them taking the injury of Barkley, I'm going to give them a B.
B on offense for the New York Football Giants. I'm going to grade them a little lower than that because with Barkley gone, I mean, they struggled to score with Barkley. They struggled to get first downs with Barkley. Their offensive line isn't very good. I'm going to give them a C- for offense. I just
Okay.
I think most of their struggles this year have come on that side of the ball. Defense.
Defense has been a surprise, a kind of a pleasant surprise. I mean, compared to their last year's defense, which was horrible, they would give up over 30 points a game routinely. They've got a pretty solid defense right now. I'll give them like a B+.
B+ on defense. Look at that. Yeah, their defense last year, if you broke contain on that front seven, it was over. if you got past the linebackers, man, forget it. This year they're really looking solid. I mean, they took it to Tom Brady and the high flying Buccaneers this past week. So I'm going to give the defense a B-. They're definitely on an upward trajectory. I think there's a bright future ahead in New York. They just got to be a little more patient. Coaching.
Joe Judge and staff, I believe the Giants have found their coach for a while. I don't think it's going to be one of these where after a couple years, I mean, I could be wrong because who knows, things could just go off the rails, but I know they've been going through this coaching carousel every couple of years. I think Judge is a solid coach, and they should have him there for a while. He's done a good job considering the team he kind of inherited and the key injuries he's had. He's keeping his team in these games. So I'll give him a B+ as well.
B+ for Joe Judge. Somebody fall down the stairs. I am going to agree with you. I think Joe Judge has got them to buy in. They play hard for him, and it's going to be one of these rare Bill Belichick disciples that actually does well, I think. Yeah, I'm going to give Joe Judge and his staff a B for keeping it together without Barkley. B for Barkley.
Yeah, that's
and getting them. They play hard week in and week out. So overall, grade for the Giants.
I'm going to give him a B. I know it seems weird to give a one in last place team, but the way I kind of look at, and we could look at it differently, but the way I kind of look at these grades is the expectations I had in my head about these teams, and if they kind of do better than the expectations I have, then they get a better grade. But.
Nice. I'm going to give them a C+. I don't think Jones is the answer. I think they're going to have to go somewhere else to find a quarterback. They need to build the offensive line. They have to put a stronger offense together to complement that defense that they have. So I didn't expect them to do much this year anyway, though. So it is what it is.
I think they're heading in the right direction despite the record.
I do too. All right, let's move on to the NFC North division. the Norris division, as Chris Berman used to call it, or the black and blue, the former black and blue division. We'll start with Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers, up there on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Yet to be frozen this year, but I think it's getting close.
Yeah.
I want to see some snow games. I know Denver had one, but all right,
Yeah.
Green Bay. Let's go with their offense.
A little bit up and down. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been his usual prolific self in most of these games, but in some of them, he gets kind of like the offense gets shut down too easily. So it's kind of like an up and down, like I don't know. It's all like I don't know. I'm not saying it's two different offenses, but they don't seem to do well under adversity. They seem to kind of just do well when they're leading the games. Since Rodgers has been doing so well, I'll give him a B minus.
B minus for Green Bay's offense from Edson. Their offense to me seems like week in and week out. If you play fantasy football, you really see it. It's Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams or Aaron Jones, and sometimes the tight end Tanyan gets in on it. But you really don't see numbers from anybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
And it just seems like that's the problem. And if you take away those two guys from him, or one of the two, he gets in a little trouble. He's out of sync.
Yep.
Doesn't seem like he has anywhere else to put the ball. Like he doesn't trust anybody else, or they're making mistakes. I haven't watched enough to know, but you're absolutely right. Because one week they look unbeatable, and the next week they're decimated. They're so weird like that.
I think you bring up a good point. Maybe during those weeks that he's not, they're not doing well, he probably looks for those. And if for some reason the defense, concentrates on taking those away, where does he go?
Right. That said, he can still pretty much win a game if he wants to, if he has to. So I give him a B plus. It's Aaron Rodgers. We've seen him do it before. Defense.
I don't know. They're kind of just like, I mean, nothing sticks out at me on defense.
Same. Yeah.
What?
That's the same thing. I'm like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just there, I guess. It's
they're
just
there. Yeah.
I haven't seen like a lot of like turnovers or like great, pressuring the quarterback where they're shutting somebody down. They're kind of just like ebb and flow with they kind of like just, I guess the offense kind of just leads them around.
Right.
They seem to do better when the offense does better, and then when the offense falls apart, they kind of just give up a lot of points.
Yeah.
So probably, I guess a C.
I'm going to leave the C up there because I also will give them a C because they seem about as steady Eddie, vanilla, regular defense.
Yeah.
It's like, just going to the store and picking generic defense and running them out there. Just be solid. You don't have to be great. Just don't suck. That's basically
Maybe that is their way. Is just, let's just hold it and let Rodgers try, do what he does and just hold it steady.
Well, try to hold the opponent to 20. Rodgers will put up 25 or 30, and we're good to go. Right.
Yep.
Coaching.
Yep. I guess just probably the same as the defense. I mean, I don't see that much of any kind of like great things out of it, but that's pretty steady. They keep the team going for most of the time. But you also got to blame the coaching also for that up and down. Like what they don't seem to have an answer, and when they get down, like they do halftime adjustments? Do they help out with the halftime? I don't see a lot of that, so I'll probably just give them a C as well.
C for coaching. I'm going to go a little higher than that for the simple fact that with McCarthy, the last year he was there, they were pretty bad. And Rodgers made his case and they got rid of him. And last year they went 13-3. They're probably going to win the division this year too. I'm going to go B plus with the coaching staff.
Okay.
Overall, the Green Bay Packers, who sit right now at 6-2 in the Norris division.
I know they're leading. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B minus.
B minus.
Because of the nature of the up and down,
Yeah.
the lack of consistency.
Yep. That makes sense. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to give them a straight B.
Okay.
For the exact reasons you just said, but I think because I think they're clear the best. They're the best team in that division anyway.
Yeah, they are.
So we'll go a little higher than that. So moving on, next up we got the Bears. Oop, I got to take that banner down. The Bears. Chicago. This will be an interesting exercise in grading. Yeah. Let's talk about the Bears. How about their offense, Edson?
Their offense is not very good at all. Okay. And they've already tried 2 quarterbacks. And I don't see a lot of difference with either one of them in there. No, I don't see a running game. I don't see a big passing game. It just seems like when they score, they take advantage of what their defense gives them. I don't know. Probably, I'd say, like, trying to be generous, C minus.
C minus for Nick Foles' offense in Chicago. Yeah, I'm completely with you on this. They struggle to move the ball. I mean, when Nick Foles came in to replace, oh my God, I just drew a blank.
Trubisky, yeah,
Trubisky, thank you. In that Atlanta game, and rallied them back, and they beat the Falcons. They were down by 16 or 18 points in that game.
Yeah,
late in the fourth quarter, and Foles brought them back and won that game, and was named the starter going forward. You kind of had to wonder, is he going to be that Nick Foles, or is he going to be the Nick Foles that tends to struggle during the regular season? He seems to be better in rescue mode, Nick Foles.
Right. Exactly.
He's just not good when he's run me out there every week starter. Yeah, I don't think they're much better. You're right with either or. Nick Foles is slightly better passer, but Trubisky can run.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
And they have no running game at all to speak of, and some of their receivers aren't very good. Jeffries is the best one. I'm sorry, not Jeffries.
Who is that? Yeah, they don't have Jeffries anymore.
No, he's in Philly. Anyway, that guy. I'm just drawing a blank. We're live. It happens. Yeah, their offense.
Robinson, is that his name?
Robinson. They're off. Allen Robinson. Yeah, he's the only good receiver they have. Their offense sucks. I'm giving them a C minus as well on offense. So, defense, the monsters of the Midway.
Yeah, they still have a good defense. They put up a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They have good corners, and you can leave them one-on-one most of the time. Linebacker pretty solid. They have a really good defense, and the reason why, and I believe the main reason why they still have a winning record is because of their defense. They create a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of turnovers, and for the most part, when the offense scores, it's because the defense gives them a good field position.
Yep.
I'd give them, B plus.
B plus for the monsters of the Midway. Yeah, I'm with you. You put it perfectly. I was going to say that defense is so helpful in the game of field position. And when you have an offense that can't go very far, when you're negotiating half the field a lot, that's certainly helpful. What's not helpful is an offense that goes 3-and-out all the time and leaves that Chicago defense on the field. Their linebackers are outstanding. All 3 of them. They cover so much ground. They hit. They were fun to watch. I was watching that game last week, and they were flying around. They looked awesome. But the offense drags them down because they are on the field too long. That second half, you can see them starting to suck wind. I'm going to go B plus as well on the defense. They probably deserve a higher grade, but they're left on the field. Coaching. Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
And company.
I'm kind of struggling with this because I believe that their offensive woes is also a byproduct of the coaching, and maybe they mishandle the quarterback situation. Maybe they should have tried to try to figure out that Trubisky wasn't going to be their quarter. They gave him another chance, even though he didn't do very well last year. And then they got themselves into this situation where they got to have a rescue quarterback, so to speak, which isn't also working very well. But like you said, their defense is excellent. So I'll give them a B-.
B- for the coaching staff, Matt Nagy and company. I'm going to go a little higher, and here's why. He didn't draft Mitch Trubisky.
Okay, good point.
He didn't ask for that. He had to come in and take over and try to figure that out. So, I think he's a good coach. I think the reason that they're 5-3 is because of the coaching. He's figured out a way somehow to nursemaid their offense enough to put up somewhere between 17 and 22 points a game somehow, some way. So I'm actually going to give him a B+.
Okay.
In his staff. I think that for what they're stuck with on offense, I think they've done a pretty damn good job of keeping the Bears right there. Overall, you're 5-3. Chicago
I'll give
Bears.
a solid B.
Solid B for the Bears.
I mean,
I'm going to leave it there too. I'll go with a B too. Yep.
I mean, I know we kept saying a lot about how sluggish the offense is, but I think, as you just pointed out, the fact that they're doing so well despite that makes them get a B.
Nice. Yeah. Detriot. Let's move on to the Detriot Lions. 3-4. I call these teams like seesaw teams.
Yeah.
It's like they're sitting on a seesaw and they're up one week and then they're down and then they're up and then they're down. This team is an enigma, and they have been for decades. All right. Whoops. I got to take it down. Offense for your Detriot loins.
As you just put it perfectly, up and down. How do they do so well sometimes against an even better team or a team with a better record and put up a lot of points, and then the very next week can't find themselves, can't figure out how to reach the end zone. I don't know. I can't say much about it. Just I'll give them just like their record, right in the middle of I'll give them a C.
C for the offense of Detroit. Their problem, and this has been for 20-something years now, ever since Barry Sanders retired, they have not had a running game.
Yeah, that's true.
They keep bringing in back after back after back, and they're nothing. Now they got Adrian Peterson and Swift, and they don't have a stable running game at all. And they've always been decent at getting wide receivers to throw to. It's a shame because they're going to waste Matt Stafford's career. It's a given. They're coming up on Thanksgiving too, which is usually that turning point in their season, and never for the good.
Yeah, it's always pretty bad. Yeah,
because Stafford is called on to freelance a lot, and they ride his arm. I'm going to give him a B-.
Okay,
but they are all over the place. Schizo defense in Detroit.
I kind of look at them a lot like what I said about the Green Bay defense. I mean, maybe I don't know that much about enough about it, but they seem to kind of just be there and they make some plays one week and then they kind of just fall apart the next week. Almost like taking their cues from the offense, whatever kind of day they're going to have on offense, they kind of just follow it along. And I don't know. I don't see anything kind of spectacular about it. I don't see them putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. They're kind of just there. They're kind of average. So I'll give them a C as well.
C for the Detroit defense. Yeah. I when you started saying the Green Bay thing, I started laughing because, again, they're there. They do a job, But you're right. They haven't had a standout player on defense since Ndamukong Suh.
Right.
So they're just there. They're just playing the string, and it almost seems that way. You're right. It's almost like the offense sets the tone for how the day is going to go.
Yeah.
And if Matthew Stafford struggles, or if they turn the ball over earlier, they get in a 10-0 hole, something like that, the defense is unable to stop the flood that comes after that. So yeah, I'm going to give them a C+ on defense.
Okay.
Coaching, Matt Patricia and company.
Yeah. So what is this? What is this? Like their third year? His third year now.
Third season.
Yep. The Detroit's a lot like they've been the last maybe 10 years. I mean, they've been consistently this way, kind of where they're trying to find them. They keep kind of like an even record probably till around Thanksgiving before they kind of fall back and go to their regular 5-11, 6-10 type season, and they don't seem to be getting any better. I don't see that they got much better under this coaching staff, so I'll give them. It looks like I'm giving a C's all the way across.
A C.
Yep.
A C for Matt Patricia and company. I got to go a little lower. This guy was supposed to be a defensive guru coming out of Belichick's Super Bowl winning Patriots teams, and we've heard this before with Bill Belichick disciples. We heard it all the way back to Charlie Weis. Like, oh, the reason Bill wins is because Charlie Weis is an offensive guru. And then there was Romeo Crennel, and it's one after the next.
That's true.
So I think Matt Patricia is lucky to be 3-4 right now, because I think he's a terrible coach. Terrible coach. D- for me. D-. He's in over his head. He's one of these guys who's a coordinator and should have stayed a coordinator.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
There are coaches like that just can't make that leap when they have to take care of, as you said before, the whole thing. And some guys just don't have the ability to do that. They know their niche, and they should stay in their lane. Overall, what do you give Detroit?
And you make a great point about him being the kind of like a defensive guru, and I don't really see that defense doing anything. So what did he do for them? At least if he had improved the defense a little, would have been something.
Right. But as you pointed out, this team has looked the same for 20 years.
Yeah.
So
I'll give him an overall of a C because I've been so consistent.
Yeah, I'll stay right there with you. They're a 500 team and mediocre, and so they get a mediocre grade. It's as simple as that. Who knows? I earmark Thanksgiving as their turning point, and usually they lose the Thanksgiving Day game, and then it's all downhill from there. So yeah, they're not very good. The surprise team for me this year is this one.
Yeah. Surprise and disappointing.
Right. So let's get into grading Minnesota offense.
What happened to this team? It's like from last year. I mean that team that beat the Saints in the playoffs. I thought that, and most of last year as well, did very well. It's and earlier this year I saw like specifically the Seattle Seahawks game. They were playing a phenomenal game, and somehow they just kind of fell apart. And then they go play a weak team, and they lose to them. It doesn't. It's almost like they're playing down and up to the level of the teams that they play, and then just lose close games. And then they last week they pulled an upset on the Packers. It's showing you they are, potentially a good team. They're just missing something this year.
In Green Bay too, which was shocking.
Yeah, in Green Bay. I consider Dalvin Cook their best offensive player, and I know he was out for a while, so maybe that's it. But there shouldn't just be that much of a drop off with one player. They're just very disappointing. I'll have to give them C minus.
C minus on offense. Yeah. I'm not sold on Cousins. Cousins to me is kind of another one of these Nick Foles, Andy Dalton kind of guys. He never really he shows brilliance in spurts, but I don't think he's the guy that's gonna run the gamut of a 16 game schedule and bring you to a Super Bowl. I just don't. I think he's he's a backup. He's a second string quarterback. That's to me the problem. Getting Cook back really helps. It showed this week because the ball control and his explosiveness is just amazing. And Adam Thielen's been picking it up the last few weeks too. That said, I'll give their offense a B minus because Cook is back, and I think that really makes a difference. But they are not who we thought they were. Defense.
They have a solid defense. They put pressure on quarterback very well. Their defensive line is a good defensive line. I think their secondary is pretty solid. Not sure about the linebackers. They've kept them in. I know their record is only 2-5 now.
2-5. Yeah. So they're not quite halfway. They got one more game.
Yeah, but I think their defense keeps them in a lot of these games. I even going back to that game that they played against the Seattle had been putting up over 30 points a game prior to meeting, and their defense for I'd say 3.5 quarters kept them in check. So they have a pretty solid defense. I think it's too bad that the offense couldn't kind of lift them up a little bit, or I think they would have probably been leading this division. I'll give them a B.
B on defense. Yeah, their defense it's not what it was a couple of years ago. When they had the two Williams in the middle and they were like staunch. You couldn't run on them. You could barely move the ball on them. They were really good defense. I think they've dropped off a bit, but you're right. They've been keeping them in games for the most part. I'll give them a B minus.
Okay.
Coaching. Mike Zimmer and staff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're only looking at the first half of this year. I keep thinking about like how good or bad he's been. He's been pretty good the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But for this year, they've been such a disappointment. And I got to try to figure out whether it's obviously not all on them, but obviously they have to get some of the blame for this. For this first half, I'll give them a C.
C for the coaching staff of the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, there was talk, last week or week before that maybe it's time to trade a bunch of people and rebuild the whole thing from scratch. They do say that though they're not down on Zimmer. I think he's a good coach. He was a really good coordinator in Cincinnati, but again, we went that coordinator coach transition. But I don't think this is just one of those things. I think they've been good, and I think they're gonna have it's just one of those off years. And next year they'll probably be like 11-5. So I'm gonna give them a B minus. I think they're well coached in Minnesota. Overall, Minnesota Vikings.
So defense was. I'll give them a B minus, even though the record doesn't show that. But
B minus for the Vikings overall.
I agree with you. It's one of those years that they're just didn't
kind of snake bitten.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go B minus as well. Yeah, I just think sometimes it's just not in the cards. You lose a couple of fluky games, you get a couple injuries. The next thing you know, you're looking up at everybody else, and they're not going to catch Green Bay. They're probably going to. I think they will hurdle Detroit, and they might end up somewhere with Chicago. But I don't think they're going to end up under 500. They'll probably end up around 8-8. This team, maybe 7-9, 8-8, somewhere around there. So.
And they're probably going to hurt a few teams trying to get a playoff spot too.
Yes.
Key game. Yes,
they will. All right, let's move on to the NFC South, where the Tampa Bay, get it? You see what I did there? The Tampa, or you could call them the Tampa Brady Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, there you go, Tom.
Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers. It's time to grade the Buccaneers and Mr. Brady's neighborhood. So, offense. What can you say
Yeah,
about the
I
team?
mean, it seemed to have started a little slow at the beginning of the year, but now they're finding Tom Brady has kind of really gelled very well with this offense. And it's expected for him to take some time, but he didn't take a lot of time at all. He's like in mid-season form, so to speak. Pardon the pun. Um, he's making all the throws. He's got Evans. Gronk is back catching catching a lot of passes again. He's got good receivers. Trying to think about the running game. It's a pretty solid running game, and they're doing great. I'll give them an A-.
A- for the Tampa Bay offense. Yeah, Tom Tom hasn't had much to throw to in New England for the last 5 years or so. It's been the Gronk and Edelman show for the most part, and now he gets this toy box
Yeah.
with Godwin and Evans and now Antonio Brown.
Well,
And in the backfield, he gets Leonard Fournette and he gets Ronald Jones, and he's just got. He lost Howard. He would have had Howard too. Howard blew his Achilles out. So I mean, can you imagine? You're right. The first game, it looked like, well, Tom looks his age, and that offensive line is terrible.
yeah, right. Yep.
They've shored all that up. They're scary. I'm going to give them also an A- on offense. Defense.
This is a great defense. I said earlier, well, quite a few times to people, this time was pretty smart to find a home here because they were well set up for a run, because this was a great defense last year and they haven't lost anything from last year to this year. They're very opportunistic. They run to the ball. They have a lot of they create a lot of turnovers, and they put a lot of pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz a lot. That helps their secondary a lot, and I don't know. It's just they've been solid. They've even during the games earlier in the year where I said the offense wasn't really gelling that much, the defense gave them the ball back plenty of times so that they could catch up, and I believe they've won a couple. They've helped win quite a few games at first, and now they're kind of like both offense and defense. I'm going to give them also an A-.
A- on defense. Yeah, their defense is fast and savage. If there's any downside to it, it's that they're undisciplined. They take a lot of personal fouls.
Oh
They
yeah,
seem to have cleaned it. They've cleaned it up the last couple of weeks, but I watched a couple games early on. The first, I think 3 of the first 5 I saw, and they were taking all kinds of 15-yarders all over the field. And if they clean that up, they are really scary. Yeah, I'll give them an A- on defense too, on the assumption that they've cleaned up the shenanigans.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of the personal fouls lately, so maybe they have.
Coaching, which is part of the reason they would clean that up.
So, and I think they've done a pretty good job of game planning on both sides of the field, and taking care of some of those disciplinary issues. I questioned the decision to bring Antonio Brown into this mix, because they're doing so well, and you run the risk. I know he has an upside, I get it, but you run the risk of kind of throwing it a little bit off kilter. Sometimes adding a really good piece doesn't really make the whole thing better. It might make them worse, actually.
Right, could be
So,
subtraction by addition.
Yeah. So I do question that, but they're solid coaching. I think I'll give them an A- as well.
A- for Bruce Arians and company. I knew BA from his days in Pittsburgh, and he got Ben Roethlisberger killed.
Oh, okay.
He's pass happy, and he got him killed. And the reason Ben is still around is because he's a tank. Brady's not Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
I was convinced he was going to get Tom Brady killed. And after the first game against the Saints, I was more than convinced he was going to get Tom Brady killed. That hasn't happened. However, I agree with you that bringing in Antonio Brown could cause problems. If I'm Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I'm already like, hey, what the hell? And you know what? Even Scotty Miller, who became a Brady favorite.
Yeah.
Now Scotty Miller's see ya, right? That could cause unrest in the locker room, and once that locker room splits, it could really affect their season going forward. I don't understand why they did this. This is a move they did not need to make. This was Tom Brady wanting another toy for the toy box. But you can't blame management for that. You can't blame the coaches for what management ended up doing.
Right.
I'm going to give BA and company a B plus. Yeah, a B plus. Overall, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I've been pretty consistent, and they're a solid team overall. So I'll stick with the A minus for the team. And
I'm going to leave that there. I completely agree with you. A minus for Tampa Bay. I think this is a team that has the potential to go all the way. I really do.
It'll be interesting to see the rest of the way.
Yes, it will. But to get where they want to go, they've got to get by the team that holds the heavyweight title in that division, if you will, the New Orleans Saints, who have some cracks
Problems
in the foundation these days. So let's talk about that. How's their offense doing?
Not very good. And I know for the past 10 years or so, that's what they've known for, the very explosive offense. And this year they've been anything but explosive. Breeze can't seem to throw the long ball anymore. You never see him throw the ball more than 10 yards almost. He really hasn't had his receiving core there pretty much all year long, whether it's injuries or some other issues. And they do have Kamara, which is a great player. They're probably their best player on the offense. But they struggle. They struggle. It's a surprise to see. I mean, you knew it'd be over sooner or later, but it's just a shock to see the Saints offense struggling. And I would give them a C.
Oops, C. Wow,
Yep.
but C.
Yep.
Yeah, Drew Brees does not look like Drew Brees. That happened fast. He fell off a cliff in a hurry. I kind of wonder too, though, if that's designed to protect his arm until the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
They really need his arm. We'll see. Sean Payton's a really good coach, and I would get past them to scheme that way. They do a lot of that gadget stuff with Taysom Hill. And you're right, Kamara is just a freak of nature. And if it wasn't for Alvin Kamara, this team would be in even bigger trouble. I'm going to give their offense a B minus, only because I feel like at any moment the cap could just explode off this thing, because there's still a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Defense?
They have a solid defense. I mean, they do create a lot of turnovers. I think they're very, very fast. They have their weakness is that they tend to kind of overrun a lot of plays, and they give up some of these long passes, and
they take like bad angles on things.
Yeah, so that's a better thing to say, bad angles instead of overrunning them. They seem to give up the big play a lot, and that's kind of troubling. But they've been, when I say their offenses hasn't been doing very well, they've been keeping them in the games. They've been helping get the ball back a lot. I think the offense gets the ball enough because of the defense. So I wouldn't put any blame on them for any kind of big losses. I give them a solid. Solid. It's not a solid, but it's a B minus, I'd say.
B minus for the New Orleans defense. Yeah. their defense is not as bad as it has been in the past. A lot of times, in the past, Drew Brees has had to guns
Carry them.
to carry them to victory because they're a shoddy defense. God, remember in the '80s when they had those great linebackers? They were so good in the '80s. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's another one of these nondescript defenses, but they do turn the ball over more than the other vanilla defenses we talked about earlier. So I'll give them a B- as well. Coaching, Sean Payton and company.
Sean Payton's a great coach. I think he gets the most out of what he has, most years anyways. And he's doing a solid job. I'm going to give him a B+.
B+ for Sean Payton and company. I agree. I think this guy is a great coach. If anything, he's been jobbed more than any coach I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years. They have gotten hosed on so many bad calls.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's unbelievable how
That's
this guy's
true.
gotten screwed. I think he's excellent game manager. He's a good clock management guy. And the players seem to love him and would run through a brick wall for him. I'm giving Sean Payton an A-.
Okay. Yep.
I think he's one of the elite coaches in this league. Overall, the New Orleans Saints at 5-2, so they're not quite halfway yet.
I'm trying to remember here, so I gave him a. I'll say a B-.
A B- for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, they seem to be underachieving.
Yeah.
When I watched them play Tampa Bay week 1, that game looked like the Saints were the primetime player, and it was like Tampa Bay, this is what you need to be a champion, Tampa Bay. Look at the team you're playing against. It has since flipped.
Yeah.
The whole thing is flipped. The Saints week 1 looked just like they have, and then all of a sudden, so they're underachievers to a point, but they're definitely going to be a playoff team. I'll give them a B.
Okay.
Overall B. So we'll go with that. And that leaves us. No, there's 2 more teams we have to cover here. Yes, 2 more teams. If they're so boring, I don't want to cover them. Carolina Panthers come in at 3-5. So they're halfway through. What do you think of the Carolina Panthers to this point, Edson? Let's start with the offense.
I mean, they've been doing better than expected. I mean, they were not too good last year, and that's with their best player McCaffrey in there. And we have a new coach again, Matt Rule, and he comes from college. And a lot of times in the past, you see college coaches not do very well in the NFL. I think he can be a good NFL coach based on what I've seen. I think he's gotten the most out of this team. I know they're kind of like an average, 500 team, or what is maybe less than 500.
They're 3-5.
Okay, right around there. But I think he's done. I think the offense has done better than expected, considering they haven't had McCaffrey there for quite a few weeks. I think he comes back this week. I'm going to give them a B-.
B- on offense for your Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought when McCaffrey went down, they were screwed. Teddy Bridgewater's also had a very good year.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So, and they've gotten a lot out of Robbie Anderson, who the Jets didn't know what to do with. Go figure. Yeah, I think Matt Rule has done a good job redesigning this offense and getting the most out of spare parts. Can we call it that? Spare parts? Yeah, I'm going to give them a B- as well. Let's move on to their defense. Carolina's defense.
I mean, their defense has, over the years, always been a solid defense and good to great defense. And I think they're just kind of solid. I don't see a lot of like anything spectacular coming out of them, but I see them doing a lot to stop offenses on good teams get stopped a lot by them. So it's like they're kind of just like they cause the 3 and outs a lot and hold the opposing teams to maybe field goals instead of touchdowns, and they keep this they keep this team in it in a lot of games where they're not just being blown out. I probably give them a B.
B on defense in Carolina. They've always had a pretty solid defense. Luke Kuechly retiring was shocking.
Yeah, that was true.
He retired too early, in my opinion. He was still in his prime. And I thought, well, there goes a huge. I mean, this guy had 15 tackles a game. He was the whole defense. But you're right. I mean, they are right there. They're rock solid. They keep the offense in every game. I'm going to give them a B as well. All right, coaching. We already talked about Matt Rule quite a bit.
Yeah, rookie head coach, and he's done a great job. I mean, he kind of this team was kind of a little bit of a mess last year, and he's done about as best a job as you can, considering the injury to McCaffrey on offense and the loss of so basically the loss of the best offensive and defensive player.
Right.
They're playing hard for him, and I'd give him a. A minus.
Wow, A- for Matt Rule and company. I couldn't argue with anything you just said. This team is one of the surprising teams to me this year, on the upside of surprising.
Yeah.
I honestly had them labeled for like 3 wins all year. And they're hanging around the 500 mark. I'm going to give them a B+, the coaching staff. I think they're doing a good, really, really good job there. Overall, your Carolina Panthers.
I'm going to give them a solid B.
Solid B. I'm going to leave it up there. I agree with you. They're surprising. And if they continue to play this way, they should be somewhere around 9-7 at the end of the year, I would think.
Yep, and I see better days ahead of them in next year and the years beyond.
Yeah, I agree. I think the rebuild's going to be faster than they thought.
Yep.
Rebuilds that won't be faster than they thought. Atlanta. Where do you start with Atlanta? Well, you can start with the offense.
I mean, the offense has been fine for the most part. I mean, they when I know Julio Jones was out a few weeks, or maybe it was more than a few weeks, but when he's in there with Ryan, it's a wholly different offense. They score 30 points or more almost every game. They don't have much of a running game. That's a problem.
Remember when they had that lightning thunder attack 3 years ago? It's amazing how quick things change in this league.
Yeah, it was almost like, I know it wasn't last year, it was a few years back, that loss in the Super Bowl just sent them downwards, and they haven't recovered. But their offense still has talent. I mean, Ryan's still good, and they have other pieces in there and that are doing very well. So I'm gonna give them a B on offense.
B on offense for the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, I think their offense is potentially dangerous, but I also put Matt Ryan in the same bucket with Carson Wentz.
Okay.
And Kirk Cousins. And I think when the chips are on the table, when the money's on the line, he's not Matty Ice. Okay. Granted, you can't blame him. It's the quarterback's the most visible component, and the whole game revolves around the quarterback. But there's a lot of factors that go into something like that happening to him. It's just you see it over and over and over. There's a late pick, or there's I'm going to give their offense a B-. I think they're slightly underachieving for the amount of talent they do have on offense. Defense.
I guess it's one of those. I guess the best thing I could say is they're probably another one of those vanilla defenses. but they're probably not as good as those. This team has given up more of these, I don't know, 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown leads than any other team in the league. And when it comes to crunch time and they got to stop somebody, they don't stop them. I don't really see them doing anything that great. I'll give them like a C-.
C- for the Atlanta defense. Yeah. How many, 16, 21 point leads do you have to cough up late in games? This defense needs a serious look at in the offseason. But since the coaching changed, they have played a little better. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm going to give them a C, and I'm being generous just because I feel bad. Coaching. Now the Falcons coaching. This is
that's the thing. They lost. They already did the coaching change.
Right.
And the interim coaching, I mean, they've been okay.
2-3 in their last 5 games.
Yeah.
6 overall.
All right, C+, I think.
C+ for Raheem Morris and his coaching staff. I'm gonna grade Dan Quinn. I'd been calling for Dan Quinn's head for 2 seasons.
Okay.
I don't understand how many times do you have to watch this team fold up like a tent in the fourth quarter before you realize that he's an idiot. I mean, he proved it in the Super Bowl. He got so outcoached in the Super Bowl.
That's so bad. Yeah.
Finally, Atlanta figured it out, 3 games in and brought in Morris. So Morris, I hope he keeps the job. I liked him when he was in Tampa Bay. I think he's a really good coach. I think in Tampa Bay, he had a personnel issue. They didn't give him any talent to work with, really, which is, why he didn't last. What is he there? 2 years in Tampa? Maybe 3? I think he's a good coach. And like I said, they've won 2 of the 2 and 3 in the last 5. So they won 2 out of the 3. B+ for Raheem Morris.
Okay.
Overall, your Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going to give them a C.
A C. Okay. I'm going to give them.
They've been disappointing, that's for sure.
Yeah, they have. I'm going to give them a C-. Especially for the Dallas game where they stood and looked at the onside kick. They just stood there and looked at it. Granted, that was Dan Quinn and his staff, right. But they were poorly. I mean, that's bad coaching. That's bad coaching. This team, you're right, has not been able to get out of its own way since they lost the Super Bowl. So, all right, let's shut that down and move on to the division to end all divisions. The new NFC East is now in the West.
Yep.
This division is amazing. Let's start with the front runners. The 6-1 Seattle Seahawks. What can you say about the Seattle Seahawks except wow, right? Start with their offense, Edson.
I mean, they've been great on offense. Russell Wilson, everybody talks about how he's in the already. We're already talking about MVP candidates. He's been this year. He's been way more prolific than previous year. Previous years, it seems like he was more like holding the offense together, kind of like just keeping him there and not doing anything, doing some spectacular plays when needed, but not pretty much just kind of just keeping him steady. But this year he's been really good. Lockett and Metcalf, where did they come from all of a sudden? It's like they've been amazing as his receiver. They catch everything. And that I haven't seen them get stopped by much. I mean, there's some games where a defense kind of holds them for maybe 3 quarters, and then they come in on their like 2 touchdown drives in the last 5 minutes to take over a game that they didn't really have a chance of winning. They've been great overall. I'm trying to think. The running game might be their weakness, but Russell Wilson also is part of that running game, so that's a plus. I'm gonna give them an A.
A on offense for the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, Russ has had like one bad half this year. I think he came into the Arizona game,
Oh right, yeah,
3 picks all year and threw 3 in the second
yeah,
half in
that's
overtime.
true.
Carson going out hurt on the running game, but like you said, Russ can make a lot of things happen. He is having one of those years. He's what they call in the zone, right?
Yep,
In the
yep.
zone. In 2 weeks in a row now, you had Lockett 2 weeks ago with like 200 yards of offense and 4 touchdowns or whatever. And now this week you have Metcalf do it. Every week it's a new guy. Seahawks look really good on offense. Defense
Not so good. And I know in the previous years they've been, classic, great defense. It's not the same defense anymore. That's kind of like, I believe, their weakness, in that this defense does give up a lot of points. They might get a little bit better now that they have Jamal Adams back. I believe he's coming back this week, but he was missing a lot of games in the first half of the season. So that hurt, but they don't have that great, secondary can just isolate every receiver there is and leave everybody else to rush the quarterback anymore. They don't put a lot of pressure on quarterback. I mean, you saw Kyler Murray run all over them. They're probably, I'm trying to think. So I'll give them a C.
A C on defense for Seattle. Yeah, on my fantasy team at the draft, I picked up Seattle for my defense because I figured Jamal Adams and they are not the Legion of Boom anymore. When they played Denver in that Super Bowl with that secondary, it was one of the most suffocating defenses I've ever seen in my life. Right there with the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens. I mean, it was amazing. They're not that. I didn't expect them to be that, but I thought they'd be better than last year on defense, and they're just not.
Yeah, no.
They just made the trade with Cincinnati for Dunlap. That might help their pass rush. He was miserable in Cincinnati. I think he might find a little resurgence for the tail end of his career in Seattle. But they're there. I'm going to go B-. They do get some turnovers. B-. Let's go to coaching. Pete Carroll and company. We've had a long history with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I have to begrudgingly say he's done a good job over there in Seattle. I mean, I've always kind of disliked him, but not because I have anything against him personally, just because he's been when he was on the Jets. Well, he was on the Jets. Yeah, when he was on the Jets.
Yeah.
And
this whole thing, remember this?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I think he comes across like a little arrogant, and that really hits me in a really bad spot. Like I really hate arrogance. So but I have to admit he's doing a great job over there in Seattle. I mean, year over year, I don't think they've had it. I'm trying to remember if they had a bad year with him on there. Maybe, I mean, a bad year for them is like 500 or something like that, but he hasn't had those type of years. They've been competing consistently. They're always in the playoffs, and this year, who knows? Might be another Super Bowl run. The way they're going, I'm going to give him a B+.
B+ for Pete Carroll and company. It's funny. I like Pete. I like his energy. I like his enthusiasm. He's definitely got a zeal for life, if you will. Especially at his age, he runs around like he's still in his 30s. That said, sometimes it feels like, and I almost feel like he has a little brother complex, where when he plays against a guy like Belichick, or he plays against a guy like Sean Payton, or one of these quote unquote elite coaches in the league, he feels like he has to prove how smart he is. And I'm sure you're thinking of a play that I'm going to bring up right now, which is the most famous moronic play at the end of a Super Bowl I've ever seen, when you've got first and goal from the 1 and you've got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield and you decide to throw the ball because you want to show Bill Belichick how much smarter you are than he gives you credit for.
Yep.
And I think that hurts Pete in big spots. I think he outcoaches himself.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, he's a great coach and all that, but because of that, I would have given him an A-, but I'm going to give him a B+.
Okay.
Because I think he's the kid in school who on the test scratches out his first answer and writes something else, and he had it right the first time. That's Pete Carroll.
Yep.
Overall, the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm going to give them an A- at this point.
A- for the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. Sky's the limit with this team. Their defense could be the only Achilles heel, like I just mentioned, Pete Carroll out-coaching Pete Carroll.
Right. Making crucial mistakes. Yeah.
Trying to out-clever somebody when he doesn't need to. That Super Bowl is it's still to this day, it's like you have a blunt object like Marshawn Lynch and you want to get cute, just smash it in there 3 times. They're not going to stop the guy.
Yep.
4 times, they're not going to stop him. I'll give the Seahawks an A- as well. I think this is a team that can potentially go all the way. Potentially. All right, let's move on. Who's in second place in this division? We've got a surprising second place team, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, they've been quite a good story.
Good story so far. Let's dig into the Arizona Cardinals, starting with their offense.
I mean, I think this is the first year where I've kind of been really interested in their offense. They're very exciting with Kyler Murray. He's just almost it's not even like it's not like there's broken plays where he runs. There's a lot of design plays that they do very well where he runs, and he has a good combination of not just being a runner but like a beautiful deep ball as well. And he makes all the throws, not just the deep ball, but he's got quite a few weapons there on offense. And I think they're legitimate, I mean, they're definitely, I think, heading to the playoffs, and I think they can kind of go up against anybody at this point, unless they get hit by some kind of major injury. I'm going to give their offense an A-.
A- for the Arizona Cardinal offense. Yeah, this is a team that gets DeAndre Hopkins, Murray, who I thought was too small to play this game. And even last year, Pittsburgh played against him, so I got to see him last year, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna kill him." He's Russell Wilson Jr.
Oh yeah, right. Yep.
He's the same kind of guy. They got weapons all over the field. Larry Fitzgerald is still. And Larry's doing all the dirty work in the middle of the field now. He's the one catching these 8-yard slants in the middle of the field and getting crushed just to get a first down. But that's Larry's job now, and Larry's fine with it. This team is Chase Edmonds looks great running the ball. They are fun to watch. I'm going to give him an A- on offense too. Defense for the Arizona Cardinals.
I haven't seen a lot of their defense. I know they're fast and they do put pressure on the quarterback. It's hard. I mean, I saw I did see this. So they're opportunistic. They created three interceptions against Russell Wilson. So
yeah,
they have. I would say that they're young, but they're quick to the ball. And good cover guys, and they can usually get to the quarterback without a lot of blitzing. I'm going to give them a B.
B on defense. I'm going to go B+ on defense. I completely agree with you. I think the defense is playing a lot better than I thought they would. This is a complete team right now, and like you said, for the first time in a long time, I actually want to watch the Arizona Cardinals play football.
They were classically a team that I never really wanted to watch, but
right?
I do.
Yeah, exactly. Coaching.
Have to give them a high grade. They're great coaching on this. It's a young team, and it's hard to keep to keep a team, with disciplined, and I think they are very well coached. I'm going to give them a B plus.
B plus for coaching. Yeah, you know what? I wasn't a believer, but I am now. I really thought this team last year was going to face plant, and they showed signs of what they could potentially be. And I also thought it would be not this season, but next season when they realized their potential.
Yep.
They're a year ahead of schedule as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And when you've got a guy like Larry Fitzgerald who's like having a coach on the field, that makes a huge difference too. He's such a calming presence. I mean,
Yep.
Every team needs a Larry Fitzgerald. He's probably the most likable guy in football right now.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. I mean, what else can you say about Larry Fitzgerald? Everyone loves Larry Fitzgerald. I'm also going B plus on the coaching. Overall, your Arizona Cardinals at 5-2, not even at the halfway point yet.
Yeah, I'm going to give them an A minus. They're very, very pleasantly surprised with them.
A minus for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to leave it also with an A minus because they are definitely overachieving. All right, we got 2 more to go here, Edson. Let's quickly get to the third place, Los Angeles Schizo Rams.
Yeah, that's what they are.
They are with that awful new logo. So, can we grade the logo? Offense.
Yeah.
What do you say with the Rams on offense?
They're kind of up and down. I've seen flashes of really good, playing in on some games, but then in other games they kind of just too many mistakes, too many losing the ball, either interceptions or putting the ball on the ground, and it kind of just they kind of just disintegrate. I mean, I think it's mainly around Goff. I mean, he has games where he's comfortable and he does very well, and then there's games where it kind of just, if the defense gets to him early, he kind of just plays completely off his game. I'm going to give them a B minus.
B minus on offense for the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, their offense is kind of strange. They've got the running back by committee, so you got 3 running backs, Henderson, Brown, and the rookie. Can't think of his name. And then they have some really talented wide receivers. But you're right, it all centers around Goff. And they got 2 good tight ends too.
Yeah, they do.
So you saw it in the Super Bowl against New England. Goff is easily rattled.
Yeah.
And once he's off his game, he doesn't seem. This is his 3rd year in the league. Like, this is the year where he's either going to turn the corner and be the guy that they drafted and who they hope is a franchise quarterback, or he's going to continue to be Carson Wentz, Andy Dalton. He's going to be one of these mediocre, decent quarterback will get you to the playoffs, but can he get that trophy? Can he get to that next step?
Right.
And he should, after experiencing a loss in the Super Bowl, should have enough experience to leapfrog that. But I'm still going to give their offense a B plus because they can be deadly at times. Defense.
They have a solid defense. They got, Darnold's always like a terror there, whether against the run or always chasing down the quarterback. Whether he gets a lot of sacks or not doesn't matter. He's just very disruptive. They have good corners.
Uh-oh. We lost Edson. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to keep going here. Yeah, Aaron Donald is an elite pass rusher, definitely. There's no doubt about it. They have a great secondary. I think their defense is actually above average. So I'm going to grade their defense at a B plus myself. Moving along, let's get to the coaching staff. Sean McVay, really good young head coach. The players seem to really like him. They buy into his system. He got them to a Super Bowl 2 years ago, had the off year last year, which is kind of the losing team Super Bowl hangover thing that we talk about so much. So I'm going to give the coaching staff a B plus as well. So we're across the board with B+ on the LA Rams so far, which will clearly affect the overall grade. Overall, I'm going to give the Rams a B+. They stand at 5-3 in the division halfway through, so they can make some noise going forward for sure. They're probably a playoff team. There could be 3 playoff teams coming out of this division alone, which is really interesting. And that brings us to the last team in our little mid-season report card, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers offense is... Oh, Edson's back.
All right.
All right, you're back. You're back. I finished the Rams myself. You want to finish the Rams?
No, that's good. I mean,
just give them an overall grade. Let me hang on a second. Overall grade for the Rams, Edson.
Yeah, technical difficulties. So overall grade, I'm gonna give them a B-.
B-. Okay, I gave them a B+. So we're close on that. They're a playoff team for sure. How much noise they make in the playoffs?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition there, especially especially in that division.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think 3 teams are making the playoffs in this division. Yeah. San Francisco 49ers. This team is an enigma. They're an enigma, and we're going to go out on this one. So offense for the 49ers.
I feel like I don't even know how to grade their offense because they've been just hit so hard with the injuries, and now they've lost their quarterback and their best receiver. Well, he's a tight end, but he's their best receiver.
Yeah.
They were doing so well, even trying to overcome those injuries. I mean, they looked like they got on a roll a few weeks back, and they were overcoming all the COVID stuff, the injuries, and then they get hit again. It just seems like it's not going to be their year, but they were doing very well. I mean, I don't know what to make about Jimmy G right now, but he was basically a good game manager when he has the pieces around him. Kittle's great, and I'm going to give them it's hard to I'll say B-.
B- for the 49ers offense. It's funny because I'm with you all the way. It's like, how do you grade a team's offense when they've never really had their offense? Aside from that, I will say, to me, Jimmy G is Dollar Tree Tom Brady.
Okay.
I don't think he's an elite quarterback at all. It's because when he has his pieces are so talented and so abundant. The resources are all there. They elevate him, in my opinion. That said, I'm going to grade them on the idea that they were healthy, and if they're healthy, they're a B.
Okay.
A B. They're not. I mean, what are you going to do? They're 4-5. Their season's probably over. They can't afford to lose probably one more game in that division. So, defense?
They have a solid defense. I mean, they've been better in previous years, but I think they have a good run defense. They sometimes give up too many plays over in the air. They do rush the quarterback pretty well. Again, when they're healthy, they've had some injuries on defense as well. Let's not forget that. I'm gonna give them a B.
B on defense for San Francisco. Yeah, when Bosa went down for the year, it affected their pass rush in a way that exposes their secondary.
Yeah.
When he was in there, he's such a force that quarterbacks didn't have time at all. Right. They were under siege constantly because it was coming from everywhere. So just losing that one component has just given quarterbacks that extra second or two to make something happen. I think it's exposing their secondary, which is average.
Yeah.
It's an average. It's not horrible. It's just average. You're right though. Their linebackers, their front line is solid. Nobody can really run on this team. B, defense is a solid B. Coaching, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I mean, he's a good offensive mind for sure. He can cook up quite a lot of great plays for every situation. Of course, it's not all about that. That's the overall team too.
Right.
But I think he's held it together as much as he could with all the injuries we've talked about. They were getting back on track until they got hit again with even more injuries. And I think that I know we've talked about this before offline, that he kind of also must think like you about Jimmy G, about being more of a kind of average, managing the game more, not doing anything more. Yeah. And he kind of designs the offense that way, not to expose his weaknesses.
Right.
Which does limit the team somewhat, but that's what he has to do. I'm going to give him and his staff a B+.
B+ for Shanahan and company. Yeah, it goes back to the Super Bowl last year that even when they got behind, it was clear they were trying not to make a mistake with him. You can't play tentative with your quarterback, and the contract they gave him is unbelievable for a guy who's average. That said, Shanahan's a really amazing coach, especially with the offensive schemes that they develop. He gets the most out of everybody on the field, and I think they really like playing for him. I'm giving Shanahan an A-.
Oh, okay.
Overall, the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I guess it's hard. My giving him a grade as if they have everybody. Well, I really
I know. You got a grade on a curve, right? I mean,
yeah. I'm going to give them a solid B.
Yeah, I'll leave it as a B as well. I'm with you. This team was ready to make a push, I thought. And then they came out and laid an egg against Green Bay. They lost a whole bunch of guys again. They laid an egg the week before with Seattle. I think they're done. Their season's over, and it's through no fault of anything but bad luck. Really bad.
Yeah. They're another Minnesota Viking.
Right. They're nothing incompetent about the 49ers at all. It's just It's just one of those things, man. It's just the deck is stacked.
And it makes you wonder, okay, so they might be okay, not really competitive the rest of the year, but it makes you wonder how next year is going to play out for this division. All the other teams are just getting better. Well, we don't know if Goff is, but definitely the Arizona and Seattle just seems to be getting better. So what's going to happen there?
Well, somebody will fall back. That's the way it always works.
Yeah.
Somebody will fall back. Somebody will be next year's 49ers.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody will. So that's about it. Is any final thoughts? We've just wrapped the entire NFC in an hour 40 minutes.
I think they're more the NFC is more of where kind of there's a lot of teams that are evening out, so to speak. They're kind of they're very competitive, and there isn't a lot of there aren't a lot of teams that kind of rise above everybody else. They're kind of what do you call it? Kind of on the same level.
Yeah,
but for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of parity in the NFC.
Parity, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The have-nots and everybody in the middle.
Well, except for the NFC East, I don't give them anything. Well, there's parity in the NFC East. It's just not good parity.
Right. Right. Yes. So we'll do next week. We'll do the AFC, and at the end of the AFC show, we can do our early playoff predictions.
Yep.
The whole league. So looking forward to that. Hope
see how that works out
too. I guess that's it. So we'll see you for our picks this weekend, our week 9 picks, and then next week we'll do the wrap-up show, the AFC report card, and our picks for Week 10.
And even more picks.
Even more picks. Talking football here at GeekTime TV. See ya. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified anytime someone from our show drops new content here. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?